It's no secret over the years there have been countless films and TV shows where the ending leaves fans and viewers incredibly disappointed. Unfortunately for the fans, at the end of the day, regardless of what you feel should have happened, it's not always the vision the show's writers, producers, or directors possibly had in mind. Still, sometimes TV finales, especially, can be quite disappointing, and at the worst of times, it seems almost as if the last episode is literally there just to tie up any loose ends, regardless of how it fits contextually within the show. And unfortunately, we've got a few of those on our list today. Today on Info Overload, we're counting down the top 10 TV shows with terrible endings. What's up, guys? Jared Bronstein here with you today. Welcome back to I.O. Before we start this one, I will say right now, there are some shows on here that if you haven't seen and don't want them spoiled, well, maybe skip through it or something, because, you know, like, even at the very least, I would say maybe just skip through to each number. Maybe someone could put in the comments down below all the shows I talk about. I don't know. You know, I'm not going to ruin it for you guys. I just don't want to ruin the show if you guys haven't seen how they end. A lot of spoilers in this one. Also, quick little plug to Top 10 Central. Come laugh with us at Central. It's like a fun reaction channel. You'll like it, trust. And make sure to stick around to the end of this one for some comment replies. Alright, enough yapping. Time to start jumping into it. Starting us off at number 10, Smallville. For those of you who don't know, the show was literally about Clark Kent figuring out he is Superman. I mean that in the sense that this guy knew he had abilities of some kind, but they were never referred to necessarily as powers because throughout the show, Kent didn't realize he was a superhero, just a guy with abilities. Still, when the season finale showed Kent unbuttoning his shirt and revealing the Superman logo, only to show a shot of Superman flying in the distance, fans were incredibly let down. However, it seems this was partially due to the actor portraying Kent, Tom Welling, who explained, "We jumped onto this idea that at the end of the show, the idea is that Clark becomes Superman and he's out there and we know he's out there, but we can't go with him. But that we know and we feel good that he's out there doing good." That was what we strove for, and I think we hit it. I like the ending of the series because it's like, yes, he did it. I hope the audience didn't feel like we didn't show them something that they needed to see. I feel like we gave them the jumping off point for their imagination as to what could happen. Well, you hoped wrong, Tom, as fans were clearly pissed they didn't get to fully see Clark Kent transform into Superman right before their eyes. Number 9, Game of Thrones. Oh yeah, we're really going on this list, guys. The show is 8 seasons long, and for some, the first 7 seasons were the absolute best in TV history. Season 8, on the other hand, as a whole, was just dreadful for some. Others enjoyed every episode up until the very end, where they felt a script was written simply just to tie up loose ends, regardless of how absurd and nonsensical it may be. Not to say that the fans necessarily expected a fairy tale happy ending, but considering how much praise the show got for the acting, character development, and story arcs, you'd think it would end on such a crazy note that people would still be talking about it till this day. However, unlike Breaking Bad, it seems Game of Thrones almost had the formula for a perfect series, only to shoot themselves in the foot with an ending that led to a petition signed by over 250,000 people asking the production to remake the entire final season. Yikes. Moving on to number 8, The Sopranos. For 6 seasons, this was considered one of the best, if not the best TV show on air. Many consider it one of the best shows of all time, and don't try to come at me with your argument of Friends, as it's a terrible show. Moving on, it seems those who watch The Sopranos every week were left with a very bad taste in their mouths, especially every time they hear Don't Stop Believing by Journey. For those of you who don't know or remember, the final scene of the series shows Tony sitting with his family, looking up at the sky while that song plays. The viewer is under the impression he's about to get whacked, and then the screen goes black. When it first happened, many viewers thought their TV went out or the network had issues until they saw the credits roll. Their hearts sank, and that feeling of disappointment will likely only be felt ever again when you guys rewind this video and hear me say that Friends is a terrible show. Also, 2 HBO shows in a row? Do I sense a pattern here? Possibly, as there are a few other HBO shows on here as well, but we gotta keep it rolling. In at number 7, How I Met Your Mother. Considering how the entire show was about Ted explaining to his kids in the year 2030 how he met their mother, but would end up with their Aunt Robin, well, it pissed a lot of people off. And for good reason. You'd think after 9 seasons the big reveal would be that their mother was Robin, or somehow some way they just made it work. Instead, they decided to briefly show the mother of Ted's kids, who would end up losing her life to a terminal illness, and Barney, who appeared to finally be settling down, also went back to his playboy ways. It's almost as if every storyline from the show was thrown away just so they could finish the show how the creators always envisioned it, regardless of how everyone else felt. Which doesn't make sense, because why have this huge build-up and anticipation, reveal who the mother is, only to throw away the character entirely and focus on the relationship of Ted and Robin? Why not just make them the main plot? I don't get it. At number 6 now, True Blood. I think this one really hurt fans because they invested so much into the characters, at least Bill and Sookie, only to be left with a big slap in the face. Considering how throughout the majority of the series, Sookie was trying to make her own choices and over the years, grow up right before the viewer's eyes, it was a little disappointing that she killed Bill because he asked her to. However, I think the most disappointing moment of all was Sookie's random pregnancy with an unknown man. To this day, we don't know who the character was or what necessarily happened. Do they live happily ever after? Did Sookie give birth to a child with inhumane power? There is a sense of leaving it up for interpretation to the viewer, but sometimes we want the show's writers to tell us what we don't want to figure out for ourselves. And this was one of those times. Halfway now at 5, Seinfeld. Although it is one of the best TV shows of all time, the ending really just didn't sit well with people. It seems the intention was there, but they just simply couldn't execute. Jerry, Elaine, George, and Kramer end up in jail after laughing and failing to help someone getting carjacked. But the trial is where the show all came together. In an attempt to look back at all the craziness and odd scenarios the characters put themselves through over the years, the courtroom was full of past characters, from everyone's favorite soup guy to the old lady Jerry robbed for a loaf of rye bread. Ultimately, the four would end up in jail, and although the effort was there to bring back all the laughs we had since the beginning of the show, it just didn't land the way the show's creators expected. Still, it hasn't taken away from the fact that Seinfeld set a standard for all sitcoms, and as I previously mentioned, Friends just never reached that level of funny. Side note guys, I don't actually hate Friends, I just know Joss loves the show, and aside from that, I know a lot of you guys are going to give it to me for saying this. It's all in good fun. Moving on to number 4, Pretty Little Liars. Now I won't lie, I never watched the show as it couldn't hold my interest. Still, when people watch the series come to an end, only for them to learn what they pretty much already assumed, well, that's not a good sign. Over the course of the series, many fans of the show had a strong feeling that a twin sister would somehow appear in the mix, and that's exactly what happened. Now, it's not good when people can figure out how your show will end well before the finale airs. It's even worse when they know it's going to happen, yet you still somehow find a way to piss them off. And that's exactly what happened here. The fan theory that Spencer had a twin turned out to be true, but it really seemed to bother fans that she had a British accent. Aside from that, fans also felt confused after a handful of the show's storylines seemingly went nowhere, and many were questioning how Alex, Spencer's evil twin, would have been able to pull everything off. Number 3, Lost. I remember when this show was the talk of the town. Everyone loved it. It won 11 Emmys, but was nominated for 54. Quite impressive considering how it ran for 6 seasons. What wasn't impressive was that ending. The idea that the entire show thrived on the suspense, mystery, and twists and turns that captivated audiences for 6 years is what made it the most talked about show. But when all was said and done, it seems fans who spent 6 years being invested wanted answers from the show. They didn't want to have to do any of the thinking themselves. Yet as we know, sometimes good TV is left up for interpretation, and sometimes it blows back in your face. It appears the latter happened with Lost, among other shows on this list. Regarding Lost, the ambiguity of it all really irked viewers. Were they dead all along? Did they die on the island? Was any of it real, or was it all just part of the afterlife? Come to think of it, this show's got me feeling, dare I say, lost. Number 2, Dexter. For 8 seasons, fans of the show would watch as a serial killer would do his work taking down the bad guys. Then again, wouldn't you consider killing bad? Depends who you're killing, I guess. Regardless, fans were drawn to the character of Dexter, who, although he was technically doing bad things, also gave the audience a sense of karma. After all, it's not like he went after innocent people. Still, for the show to end the way it did, it really just reminded everyone they were watching a TV show. It's bad enough that Dexter was never caught, but after seeing his boat head into a hurricane and come out completely wrecked, you'd like to think the ship's captain, in this case Dexter, went down as well. You'd be wrong, as Dexter apparently survived, changed his identity, and is now living remotely as a lumberjack. I mean, I guess anything is possible, but this felt to be a bit of a stretch and a huge disappointment. Speaking of disappointment, me. Oh no, that was my parents' wedding. Speaking of disappointment, in at number 1, St. Elsewhere. For 6 seasons, this medical drama followed the lives of doctors as they managed to save lives while dealing with their own personal issues. Considered one of the best shows of all time and a big reason medical dramas are a thing, yeah, you could thank this show for Grey's Anatomy and ER, or maybe blame them, I don't know. Many fans were left distraught when the writers of the show ended it the way they did. It's no secret the dream sequence is a huge cop-out, and it pissed a lot of fans off when they saw the season finale of Roseanne, which gets an honorable mention. Technically, in the case of St. Elsewhere, it wasn't so much a dream as it was an autistic boy's imagination. When all is said and done, viewers come to learn that seemingly every character in the show, all the storylines, and anything they felt some sort of attachment to was even more non-existent than they originally realized. Sure, they're watching actors portray characters on a show, still, you get attached. But when it's characters that were created in another character's imagination, who is staring at a snow globe, well, I don't know, I find it's easier to disconnect from reality. It's almost like Inception, but for TV shows. And real life. And there you guys have it for the top 10 TV shows with terrible endings. There's a lot, so I could do a part 2. House of Cards should be on here, sure. So could Gossip Girl, Star Trek, Scrubs. The list goes on and on. So if you guys want a part 2, let us know. For now, let's provide some comments from the video, top 10 celebrities that ruined their careers in 2020. I think that was the name of the video. I forgot to write it down in the script, but I'm almost positive. Fiona Z said, 90% of the comments, Jenna Marbles doesn't count. Yeah, so I knew a lot of you guys were gonna say that. My whole point, guys, I'm not necessarily saying she did anything wrong. I wasn't trying to bash her. I'm literally just saying, like, her career being a YouTuber, which is to create content on YouTube, is over because she essentially said, I'm no longer doing this. The same way, if as an actor I said, hey guys, I don't want to act anymore, my acting career is essentially over. Doesn't mean I can't start up again, but for the time being it's over. So that's why I said she ruined her own career. Again, not even in a negative way. She just did because she stopped. It's no longer her career. I wish her all the best. That's it. Like, it's not that deep. Dina's video said, it feels like Jared is a fan of Shane. He gives off this aura. I can tell you right now, I'm not a fan of Shane. I mean, again, I don't know too much about that whole drama because truth be told, I don't really care all that much. But with that being said, from what I do see, I don't know. Just gives off maybe not the kind of vibes that I would want to be a fan of, if we could say that. Cat Dog said, thank you, Jared. I like that you are honest and not afraid to say it like it is, and I love that you're an Eagles fan. I am too. The best thing was walking down Broad Street with hundreds of people after winning the Super Bowl. I will tell this story till I get a shout out. Yo, Cat, go Eagles, baby. I actually almost went to the parade and I couldn't, but I watched the Super Bowl while I was working at an event. It was actually a bar mitzvah I was working. I don't know if I should say this. It's fine, it's in the past. I was fully on my phone watching the game while I was hosting the event. I was like, hey guys, keep partying. And I was like looking at my phone. It was fantastic. I freaked out when they won. I actually wanted to go to the parade and I didn't because I had work, but I 100% should have just gone to Philly because, you know, nothing like it. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein, and we'll see you in the next one. Especially every time they hear Don't Stop Believing by Journey. That Friends line, I'm so happy I'm so happy I fully committed to it. Oh, I know, and I touch on it again, like, you know, it's all in good fun. And you guys can include this in the bloopers, it is all in good fun. I just did it just to get the comments going, like, you, Jared. Oh my god, it's so funny. Moving on to number 4, Pretty Little Liars. Now, I won't lie, I never watched the show as I couldn't... For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. I didn't put the title of the video, so we're just gonna... I know. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. Top 10 peeps...